back to another episode of Spank Range Garage. If you guys saw my three-part tuning series on tuning an MS41 328i turbo on the factory ECU, this is that car. The guy's been driving it, having a good time with it for about half a season now. Recently, he threw a cam code and he replaced the cam sensor and did a couple other things, and it's still not running right. The cam's code apparently won't clear, it's idling crappy, it breaks up at high RPMs, all kinds of issues. So let's dig into this one and see if we can figure out what's going on with it. Scan the car with this IMPA software. Been using this for a really long time. It's really simple and it's glitchy and it's old, but it does get the job done, and it's got a lot more data than you're going to see on a generic OBD2 scan tool. MS41.1, language doesn't match, yada yada. Okay, so we have a code 212, Vanos mechanical jam. And the code conditions are 1568 RPM and 114 milligrams per rev, so probably at idle. He's telling me this code doesn't clear. I'm not going to try to clear it yet, but I'm going to see what other codes we have in the history here. We have temperature codes. Lambda, tank vent, check engine light. So nothing important in the history. So we are going to chase after code 212. Now that's BMW code 212. It doesn't correlate with any P0, 1, 2, 3, any of that crap. So it'll come up as something on a scan tool, but it's going to mislead you. It probably says cam sensor, something else like that. So I went ahead and cleared the code, and it did indeed clear. Just started the car up, and I'd say unfortunately it runs great again. Idle's perfect, yada yada yada. So now I gotta figure out what happened. Take a look here. Camshaft angle is reading. These are valid angles. If it was reading like 57 and it was pegged there, that usually means the sensor's not working. It's been running for 10 minutes now. We'll go back and check for codes. Still nothing. So I got her out here on the dyno. I'm gonna put it through its paces, see if I can make this thing replicate the error. So I'm gonna have to beat it up like you would on track. We'll see if we get it to throw that code again or some other code. Did make a couple changes to the fuel pressure regulator setup. I found a pinched hose there. That may have been leaking a little bit, but either way, this was very long and didn't need to be. So I rerouted it and brought it back to the intake. It'll be a little safer from getting pinched on things and burnt. Finished up my final street drive. Let's go over some data. So Vanos angle here, you can see based on RPM and throttle position, the Vanos is actuating as it should. Full lock on this motor is about 33 degrees, and in the off position it's about 9 degrees, as we saw on the scan tool. The Vanos is actuating as it should be. Look at that. No problems here. I can only say what I see. Story of this is, it's been a roundabout story to get here, but it sounds like he was driving the car and it threw a cam sensor code. And that's what was displayed on a generic OBD2 scan tool. So he replaced the cam sensor with a VDO brand, Siemens VDO cam sensor. They're very good. I believe they're OEM as well. But anyway, that did not clear the code, and he was trying to clear the code with a generic scan tool and it wasn't clearing. So that made me suspect an electrical issue because a Vanos jam code won't come in until Vanos is attempted to be engaged, and it's not until you get over 3,500 RPMs, wherever you have it set to. So he ended up changing the Vanos, changing the solenoid, installing a brand new BMW cam sensor, and changing the crank sensor with another known good one. Doing all the stuff, the code still wouldn't clear, is what I'm being told. So we took it to a shop that works on BMWs, and it's not clear whether they were able to clear it or not. I'm not sure what they did, or maybe they just read the codes out and told them what they were. I don't know. So anyway, I'm really skeptical of what's going on here. I don't know if there's just been too many chefs in the kitchen, or there's just a lot of miscommunications, or maybe something changed on the toe up here. Now the code clears. Mechanical codes should always clear with the engine off, because it's not, it can't monitor the cam state until the cam's turning, so there's no way to know the cam position until the cam's turning. Therefore, the code should not be active with the engine off. So that's my thoughts on that. I'm not sure why this has been so confusing. But anyway, just in case, I'm going to flash another ECU that is a direct clone of the ECU that's in here currently. And I'm going to disable code 212. I typically don't like disabling codes for mechanical problems, because if there is a problem, we need to know about it. But the customer understands the risk of that, and he's going to an important event soon and needs this car to run. So if the code is going to be a phantom code and it's going to come in and ruin his day and he doesn't have the scan tool to clear it, at least he'll have a computer he can throw in that's not going to give him any trouble. So, all right, so first move here is to take the full file off of his current ECU. And we're gonna dump that to my hard drive. It's 256 kilobytes, it takes way too long. But anyway, I still use this old school MS5 whatever flash thing, I don't know. It does check some corrections. I've been using it forever. I'm sure there's better tools out there now, but it just works for me. So anyway, we'll go ahead and do that. And then I've got this spare ECU here out of a 5 series, but it's out of a stick shift 528. This will work fine. So then I'll plug this in the car. I'm going to write the exact same file to it, with the exception of changing the 212 code. All right, a little tight sneaking that out, but we got her. Okay, all right, same process now. All right, so we flashed the new computer. First step, make sure it runs. Great. So it runs. Now we need to pull the partial file back off of it. Come on. That only takes 30 seconds or so. You open this thing up, and there's no way to actually disable this DTC. However, we can change the threshold of when it's monitored. So if I set that to 8,000 RPMs, this engine should never be up at 8160. So since we'll never get into the monitoring phase of it, it should never throw the code. So I'm gonna go ahead and save that and then flash it back to the ECU, and we're done with this one.
that wraps up another episode here at Spank Ranch Garage. I feel like I didn't really fix anything on this one. Maybe I just had the right scan tool and other people didn't. I don't know. We may never get to the bottom of what the story was, but either way, I got to do some touch up on this car that I wanted to do, and it runs fantastic. Takes a good old beating, and the owner definitely gives it a good old beating, so I'm excited to see this thing back on the track again. So, catch you next time.